Welcome, fearless dreamers. This is the last episode of the Unstoppable Immigrant podcast, season 1. My name is Martina. I am the host and a pilot, and today I have a super special guest, Vanessa Farino from Bolivia. She's gonna take us on a ride full of laughter, lessons, and creative energy. Buckle up and let's prepare for the takeoff.
It's the very least I can do given the sacrifices my family made for me to have these opportunities. And he said, "You're dyslexic."
Whoa.
And I'm like, "Excuse me?" I was featured in Forbes.
Yeah. All right. So, Vane, thank you so much for being here today. I'm honored to have you as the last guest of this season, and it couldn't be anyone else because we are going over here full circle, and you will know why in a little bit. So, Vane, let's dive into it.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right. So, Vane, please share your story and connection to Bolivia.
Yes. So my family is from Bolivia. It is still considered a third world country. And they speak multiple different languages, including Aymara, Quechua, Spanish. And when I was a little girl, I was around 4 years old when my parents divorced. I was born here, but I moved to Bolivia. And it is a third world country. And let me tell you about a culture shock.
Yes.
And it was also the most incredible experience for me looking back, even though when I was a child, I didn't understand the difference of all of the things going from the US to Bolivia. So I feel like I have a double immigrant story for myself.
So you were born in the United States where?
In Boston, Massachusetts.
So from Boston to Bolivia.
Yes.
So how was it to growing up in Bolivia?
So when my parents divorced, we went back to Bolivia and my mom remarried my stepfather, and he is someone who was in the military. So that meant, the family stays within the military, and I attended military school. Yeah.
You are the first guest with this background, so I'm super curious.
Yeah, it's definitely a fun fact and something that I really appreciated now as a child, to have that structure and discipline. Like I really think everybody deserves and needs that. And it is the person. Also, I'm a Capricorn, so it was perfect for me having all this structure. And also, like, you have your regular downtown in Bolivia and whatnot, but there was a point where we got stationed in this very tiny, tiny little village called Huaki.
Huaki?
Literally in the middle of nowhere. And you are with the people of the village. It's a very humbling experience. And I remember even in downtown areas, I don't know if it happened with you in your country, the milk, when it gets delivered, it's in glass containers.
Yes.
Every single morning. And you trade yesterday's glass container, for today's glass container. So even in the village, they would do that. I went to school with the children in the village, but the teachers were always on strike and protesting, which probably really brings me on why I'm like rebellious and fighting for women's rights and, speaking up for people since I was a child. And I remember we were stationed on a farm. So my fascination for animals and all the things. So I remember at that time when I was a child, it was very difficult for me to adjust. But I look back and it is the juiciest part of me. So,
how many years you've lived like that?
I want to say 3 or 4, from what I can remember. And I came back to the U.S. When I was in first grade. Well, age difference wise, schools and all the things. But yeah. So, which was incredible because the school system in Bolivia, right? I went to school for a short period of time there, but I learned everything when I came back here up to 6th grade. So I was like an A student because I knew all the things.
This is interesting because so many guests on this podcast, they all said the same thing about the educational system, that they come from different country where the education is so much more advanced, so to speak, and they came to US and then they had to start again from basically a lower
grade.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
so it's quite interesting. But there's nothing like having those stories from your country.
Absolutely. So how do you think that living in Bolivia shaped you?
It is definitely so when people ask me, where were you born? I'm like, Bolivia.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, what part of Bolivia? And I'm like, oh, crap. All parts of Bolivia. But because it shaped me of who I am, it really allowed me to understand who I am as a woman and my roots. And my mom and father are both from Bolivia. And really understanding the heritage and ancestry behind that. And there's very, very, very rich culture. And growing up, my mom used to, up until sixth grade, my mom had me do homework in Spanish and to continue to learn about the culture in Bolivia. And we had small community circles back in Boston where we would gather together every weekend and get together to dance our folkloric dances. So it truly shaped me in every way, shape, and form.
That sounds beautiful, actually.
Yeah.
So would you say that your recollection of the memories from Bolivia is mostly happy and disciplined?
Yeah, I would definitely say so. It also, I look back now through my adulthood, there's also been challenges of being part of a third world country and being in a country like the US that is just so developed in so many ways and has unlimited resources. When you talk about money and wealth mindset and abundance, and there is that imposter syndrome, not of I don't deserve, it's more of I actually have people in my country who don't have electricity or food or education. And so but I would say I'm very grateful that I've had this opportunity to live, to live there.
Let's talk about salteñas.
Salteñas.
Yeah.
Okay, the most delicious, like salty, sweet snack, afternoon snack, or even breakfast. I won't even say snack. I consider it as a meal. So salteña is the best version of an empanada, and that's probably an insult to our Bolivian culture. But that's like the best way that I can approach it, right? So it is, empanadas are flat. The salteña is flat, but it's kind of like pyramid style. And it has a very unique twisting to the dough. So it's like, I don't know, I think about a dolphin, and that's the worst scenario possible to explain. But it's flat, it's curvy on the sides, and there's twisting on it. The dough is so particular because it's sweet yet salty, and inside there is a chicken or beef stew, and it has potatoes and hard-boiled eggs. And the whole purpose of the salteña is the stew is so juicy. So you have to be very particular when you eat it. There's a way. My husband, he's so proud that he knows how to eat this. My grandma taught him. There's one way where you open it, then you pour the juice out, you drink the stew juice, and then you can eat it, whatnot. But I really hope that you can experience with me a salteña in the future.
I would love to.
They're so delicious. If you ever see them, you won't regret it. It is the best. It changes your life.
Oh, I'm excited for that
your
experience. So you moved around the age of 7? 8 to United States.
Yes.
Why?
So the story that I remember is that one, I really missed home at the same time. It was a really hard adjustment for me. And I also missed my dad, who was still in the States, and he'd come and travel and whatnot. But the story that has always stuck with me, and I don't know that if my mom actually remembers it like I do, but I would tell her, I'm like, there's those guys that follow us all the time. And she's like, nah. And interestingly, afterwards, she told my stepdad, who was in a division in the military, who had sent people to look over us, per se. So when my mom found out about that, plus other situations, we're like, it's probably best for us to go to the U.S. and more opportunity, et cetera, et cetera. But I'll never forget that story because my mom's like, yeah, you used to tell us that these guys used to follow us. It was people to protect us. But I'm like, yeah, I picked up on that as a kid.
Wow.
I don't think I've ever shared that story before.
I just have so many questions now. Were you ever scared living in Bolivia?
No. Never scared.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you still have friends from Bolivia that you speak to now?
Unfortunately not, because now it would be great because we have technology.
Right.
And even then, the government is really, it's a very hard government. Even the mailing system is a tough situation where sometimes you have access to mail and sometimes you don't. So it wasn't an opportunity that I could, stick around and keep in contact. Have gone back and, visited the places that I've lived and all of the things that I've, we used to go to eat and the plazas and the restaurants and all the yummy food. And I actually have been curious. Like, I wonder what would happen, because everything's just so small. Everybody knows where everybody is.
Yes.
If I knock on the girls' doors and be like, remember me? I don't know what they'd say. They'd be like, oh my gosh. Yeah.
Oh my God. I feel like you would do it at some point in your
I
life.
probably will. You're like, oh, I brought some fruit. How are you? I hope the coffee and tea is ready.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I'm excited to hear that story in like 20 years. So you came here because of your family.
Yeah.
And what brought you and your family here?
So, opportunity. My mom's side of the family comes from severe domestic violence and abuse. And it was a situation where my grandmother, who actually never really aspired to be a mom, had 3 daughters. She came to the U.S. for a nursing scholarship. And my grandma really wanted to be a nurse. She desired to do that. She actually was a really big entrepreneur in Bolivia.
Wow.
Yeah, and I only came to find that out like just a few years ago. And I'm like, okay.
Makes sense, because I'm like that too.
And ultimately, my grandma just fought really hard to bring her 3 children plus her grandson.
Wow.
And that's what happened. And we ended up being in Boston, and that's where we resided.
Should we express gratitude to your grandma
We can, yeah.
and to your mom?
Sure, absolutely.
So thank you, grandma and mom.
Yeah, thank you, grandma and mom.
Because of you, Vanessa is in America.
Yeah.
Having a great life full of
Yeah.
opportunities.
Right.
So that's beautiful. I love when I hear these stories of sacrifices of, parents, grandparents, because, they deserve the honor and gratitude. So, yeah.
Yeah, I know when people ask me, you do a lot. And I'm like, I actually don't. I actually do have boundaries. That while I'm active in a lot of things, I pour my heart out. But they're like, why do you do so much? I'm like, it's the very least I can do given the sacrifices my family made for me to have these opportunities. And I have these resources that I don't want to gatekeep, and I want to share with other people as well.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. So you came to Boston and you also attended American high school.
Yes.
How was that experience for you?
Oh my gosh, traumatizing.
Let's talk about it. Why is everybody traumatized by high school in America?
I think the one thing that I wish we had of a better support system. Okay, so your frontal lobe is not fully developed, right, until like your mid-20s. You're raging in hormones and things are happening and advancing and whatnot, and you're trying to be in a school system that is really not meant for us creatives or innovative people. Even though I will say that in high school, I was actually the oddball. I took 4 years of accounting. I took consumer economics, business organization and management, all the computer classes. It was just something that really fascinated me and helped and supported me to co-found my first business at age 15. But I would have to say the whole process in high school, I think it's traumatizing because there's this identity crisis of who you are, who you're supposed to be, and you're told that you have to pick this one life, this one career path. And I really think that actually tarnishes your soul, right? It just totally puts these, I actually use the word rapes the soul. I'm sorry if that's intense, but we're ever evolving humans. And they tell you pick this one thing, and there's that pressure, and you don't even know who you are as an identity as a human and what you like and what you don't like. And there's all that pressure and there's that drama, and to get good grades and to get into that college or university and etc. But I am so glad I never have to do that. I don't recommend it. 0 stars.
Did you also go to university?
I didn't. I did. So I transferred 3 times from colleges and universities. I am a proud person who has retired from college early. And I say that proudly, not because I don't believe in education. I'm a huge person that believes in education. So what happened is that all my life, even back in Bolivia when I was in school, always my report cards, comprehension issues, talks too much, asks too many questions. Nobody in their bright mind right? And here you have teachers and you have professors at all parts of your life as a student. I was dyslexic and nobody caught it.
Really?
Really? So when I went to college and universities, I would continue to ask these questions, but my professors thought I was questioning authority.
Oh.
So I would get in trouble and I would get kicked out of class. And I was working full time. I was going to school part time. I was paying everything out of my own pocket. And it was very frustrating for me. I'm like, if I am paying for a service and I have genuine questions, why is this happening to me? So I thought maybe something. So hence the transferring to college and university 3 times. Fast forward, in my mid to late 20s, I was applying for a program, and the person there was asking me general questions. We were on in a meeting for like about 3 hours, and he said, "You're dyslexic."
Whoa.
And I'm like, "Excuse me?" He's like, "You have all the red flags and all of the stuff of being dyslexic." And he's like, "This explains your frustration."
Yes.
Of wanting to learn, and you're hungry to learn, and you desire to learn, but you're better off learning hands-on, which makes sense on why I dove straight into my career in corporate for 15 years and working in startup companies, because then I had these, CEOs who did trust me and saw the person that was hungry and ambitious and wanted to roll her sleeves up and get to work.
Looking to create unforgettable moments in Miami, whether it's a romantic proposal, a dreamy picnic, or a special celebration, Maza events bring your vision to life. We handle every detail so you can simply show up and enjoy the magic. Book your experience today. Send us a DM on Instagram Maza_events or fill out the booking form in the show notes. So how did you navigate being dyslexic?
Yeah. I learned about the disadvantages of learning, and the best way for me to learn is to be hands-on.
Yes.
Hands-on to learn. So I continued at that time. I'm like, I didn't know I had this, but I found a solution for it that worked for me. So if it's not broken, don't fix it and keep going. But as I was aware of it, finding different opportunities and speaking about these situations when I worked with people or when I was part of projects or assignments, and say, or when you're part of a new team and say, I just want to let you know, can we have a conversation, and pull someone to the side and say, I'm someone who's dyslexic and I just want to share that with you, because if I'm asking questions, they're genuine. I'm not questioning your authority. So people are able to help you in different ways. And when I work with clients, it has been the most humbling experience for that reason, because in entrepreneurship, we will hear all of the things on digital platforms to teach you about marketing or finances or structure within your business and system and operations. That's great. And how many times have you heard it and you're not able to really comprehend it down to the grains of sand on why something matters, and then how to implement it, and then learn if it works or if it doesn't, and how to pivot from there. So it has been one of my greatest strengths today, and I've helped, over 100 people. So yeah, I'm so grateful for it.
I'm so proud of you. You're such a badass. From day one.
Thanks.
Now I have a question for you, because I'm thinking about how you were as a little girl who came to America. I can envision you like a little Vanessa.
Yeah.
So how did the 8-year-old Vanessa cope with a huge change, which was going from Bolivia to Boston?
Yeah.
In all senses, in education, language, new environment, cold, all that.
Yeah. I am someone, as a little girl, who was very introverted.
Really?
Right? Everybody says that.
I would not say
very, very introverted. I would hide between my mother's legs. You couldn't even make eye contact with me. I'd start crying and screaming. You
Wow.
couldn't say my name and whatnot. So that person, I feel, had always the fear of being seen, heard, and understood, per se. Right?
And look at you now.
And look at me now.
Wow.
But it is the challenge. I have those fears and also other people, and it doesn't make me the oddball. And I find these challenges that I have really freaking awesome, like a science experiment. And I'll give you an example, like for public speaking. It had never been a desire of mine to share a story or whatnot. The first time I was called to come and do a storytelling piece, I was told there was going to be 40 people. I'm like, no big deal, I'll wing it. There was close to 300 people there. And I had a standing ovation. And I thought, if I ever get this opportunity again, I want to be prepared. Just as you prepare for your test, just as you prepare for soccer practice, anything like that. So I took multiple media and training, public speaking classes for me to be able to learn that from the science maybe aspect of it. My brain loves to like be that architect, break things down and then like build it back up again and just constantly do it.
I'm fascinated by the way you think. Was there any super hard moment where you felt like you want to give up in this journey?
Every other Monday. I really believe that entrepreneurship is one thing that nobody can ever prepare you for, ever. Especially if you are that self-employed entrepreneur.
Yes.
There's a difference between if you show up aspiring to be an entrepreneur and you still have your corporate job, which I did for many years and I loved it. And then you have this situations. I was blindsidedly laid off and I'm like, what do I do? And they don't prepare you for the levels of self-discovery. But I do think it is a very humbling journey to understand your nervous system, who you are as a person, how you impact the community, the economy, just to say the least.
Absolutely. So would you say that like who or what helped you the most when you first got here? Was it your family or do you have some stranger who magically helped you? Some angel, we call it on this podcast?
Yeah, I would say my grandma had 2 angels, her best friends. One is still with us and one is not. And they were like the trio. Think the Golden Girls and the little Latina ladies. And they really helped each other in every way, shape, way, form, and possible. My family is very small. And I think that also we just stuck with each other and just helped and found opportunities. And we always said we have health. We have a roof over our head and we have food. That's all that we need.
Beautiful. Do you have any siblings?
I do. I have a younger brother and I have a younger sister.
Do they live in Boston?
One lives in Boston and one lives in Texas.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So you live in Boston. What's the most bizarre thing you've seen there?
The people. I'm kidding. Don't put that on.
Put that on.
I think the most bizarre thing that I currently see in Boston is there is no opportunity like there are in any other part of the world for entrepreneurship.
Why
And
would
I
you
mean
say
that so we're very academic driven. We have the best colleges and universities in the entire world, right? Prestigious. And then you also have a very sports driven culture. Right? We have hockey, we have basketball, we have all the things, which then leaves you the little room that's left is from my experience is the financials aspect of things. So you have the finance bros, right? And then from there you have a lot of pharmaceutical companies that dominate the area. So in Boston, for example, just a couple weeks ago, I was there shooting a story in downtown Boston and people looked at me like I had 10 heads and I was, I don't know. They were so mad.
Mm-hmm.
So it is an interesting aspect culturally. While we're very rich with international students and food and culture and opportunity, which I very much enjoy and love,
Mm-hmm.
they're very delayed and behind on things. So when something reaches New York, it's like 5 years later you'll see it in Massachusetts. It's bizarre.
It's
because
bizarre.
you're also like, you have the biggest resources in the world as well. It's very old school, conservative.
That would bore me to death.
That's why I come to Miami and New York. And that's why I'm always traveling.
You flew from Boston for this.
Yes, absolutely.
I really appreciate it.
It's my
means to me.
pleasure. It was a hands down and absolute honor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So now, please be honest.
Yes.
Is there still any English word that gives you a headache to pronounce?
So many of them. Beautiful is something that I have a hard time pronouncing.
Really?
Yeah, the word beautiful. I have to do it very slowly. There's actually a lot of words. And a lot of people are like, wow, Vanessa, your English is so perfect. And I will say, thank you. I have been practicing hard. But in all reality, too, I wanted to make sure that I blended in the corporate world.
Oh, yeah.
So it was one of those things that, you see how the game is played and you play by those rules. I severely struggle with pronouncing a lot of words till today. And when I have to spell out beautiful, I'm like, beautiful every single time.
That's so cute.
Yeah, or Wednesday. Wednesday.
Do you mix up English and Spanish and do you speak Spanglish more than...
All the time. All the time. Yeah.
Okay, so with that being said, I do have a funky little tongue twister for you.
Let's do it.
So please, I have this thing for you prepared. So if you could repeat it 3 times, each time faster.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
You got it. Ready? Take a deep breath. Okay.
Is this a joke?
No, you got it. Come on.
The sixth, sick, sheiks, sixth, sheep, six. Oh my God.
But más rápido, porfa.
Oh, the sixth, six, chic, six,
Come on.
sheep, six. I can't.
One more time.
The sixth, sick. No. It's so hard. The sixth, sick, sheiks, sixth. No, I'm done. I'm so done. I'm frustrated.
But you did great.
Why?
I just tested
It's
you
so
out.
funny. Yeah, that is. Yeah.
Oh, but you did great.
Thanks.
Yeah, I'm proud of you. What's one word that sums up your immigration journey and why?
I would have to say that would be this year's word, becoming.
Becoming?
Becoming. Because it is that evolution of that process of, your ancestors, where you come from, but then also who you're stepping in to be, who you desire to be.
I got chills. That's
Becoming.
beautiful. Becoming. No one said that yet, so I love that. Becoming. What lessons or strengths came from being an immigrant?
The lessons always were to really take time to spend time with people, like create the experiences. My family will always try to be like, oh, we bought you this, we bought you that. And I'm like, return it. Take me out for lunch. Let's go for a walk. Let's go to the beach. Let's go hiking. Let's go to the dog park, right? Because I really remember, like, culturally, that's what we do. We create experience. We create memories. So, yeah.
So you rather have quality time over gifts?
Oh my gosh, 100%.
That is your love language.
That is my love language.
For sure.
100%.
Attention, listeners! Don't forget to leave us a review to help this podcast grow. You can also subscribe on YouTube and follow us on Instagram and Spotify to keep up with the latest episodes. And now, thank you so much for flying the Unstoppable Immigrant airwaves, and let's get back to the show.
To all our listeners who are perhaps immigrants as well, what is one key piece advice you would give them?
Yes. Never forget your roots. We are our ancestors' wildest dreams. And that is my favorite quote, but also in moments of struggle, it always grounds me to really think of the present moment and think about how they fought for us to have these opportunities that they wish they could have had.
Beautiful. Okay, my dear Vanessa, please. What's your wow, I've made it moment for you?
So this happened this year. We were chit-chatting about it a little while ago. I was featured in Forbes.
Yeah.
That was a really big moment for me as someone who has an immigrant background, my growing up, just my upbringing, the struggles, all of the things. It was the wow, and that was really incredible. That was a very long process that I pitched myself for, and I was one of the very few people who made it. And
Oh my God.
when it happened, I sobbed, so I was very grateful for that.
I'm so proud of you. Oh my goodness. We need the title on the video.
Okay.
And all that stuff.
Thank you.
Wow. When was the Forbes published?
January, the end of January.
So you started the year with such a huge success.
Yeah. And last year felt not quite, feeling myself. So it was a reminder of keep going, one day at a time. And I was thinking a lot of things come the new year. Let's see how we refresh things.
Yes.
And it was the most beautiful gift for me to receive, to just be like, keep going.
I think that's a perfect start of a new year. Like, I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
What is your mindset like?
Yeah. I'm really strict when it comes to taking care of my mental health. I practice somatic work, acupuncture, Reiki, high protein, meditation, journaling, cryotherapy. I want to do the cold plunge.
Yes.
But there's constant things that support that recipe of my mindset.
Yes.
My mindset is always fail forward. I learned that from one of the great CEOs I worked with many years. He would say, don't be afraid to fail forward. That is data. That's great information. So my mindset is constantly, how can we be better? How can we have fun doing that? And also, how are we constantly protecting the nervous system so we can do all the amazing things?
Would you like to give maybe 3 key points to our listeners who are new to this, how they can regulate their nervous system and be happy and be on a good mood?
Yeah, absolutely. So the whole journey started first, which I recommend everyone to do themselves, is really understand how is your nervous system tied to you? Why does that matter? And it really started with me learning about gut hormones, like gut health and hormone balancing as a woman. And I'm like, oh, the nervous system's tied into that, and all of the different type of aspects of that. But for example, I was someone who had a really hard time meditating for the longest time. And it got to the point where I was frustrated, as people would say, just meditate and journal and all the things. And I'm like, hey, you guys are crazy. I don't know where this is giving you joy. And I tried somatic work. And I was also dealing with grief. And somatic work was that balance for me, which you can use breath and you can use movement within the body. I'm someone who is very active. So you're able to use these components together to find what works for you, as an example. But I really highly recommend people, whether you start with Reiki, understanding that perspective of, recalibrating the energy, or if you're interested in your gut, your gut health has a lot to do with that. Because at the end of the day, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're someone who is forward thinking and ambitious in your career, whatever that might be, your nervous system has to be that top priority for you, because if your nervous system is not regulated or supported, then you're not making informed decisions. And then it's a snowball effect.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Your motto is make your dreams so big you have to reinvent yourself to meet them.
Every time, every year.
Tell us more.
Yeah. So when I was younger, I aspired to be in corporate and climb that corporate ladder. And I did. And it was so fulfilling and it was so incredible. But that didn't feel fulfilling. And I thought that was normal. And I started businesses that I found quite intriguing, that there were such deep gaps within the market. And then I would make them successful. And then I would close them. And then I would start another business. And then I would do it over and over again. And I realized, right, these are goals for myself, that I'm constantly reinventing myself and teaching myself different skill sets and learning about business and different aspects between brick and mortar, service-based, product-based businesses. Like, they're all different universes and planets. And as someone who's creative and deeply passionate about business and marketing, I'm constantly reinventing my dreams to meet that. Yeah, it's like never ending. It's fun. Some people think I'm crazy too, and that's okay.
How have the self-discovery tools like astrology or human design influenced the way you lead and build your business?
This is so personal for me, and I wish the whole world can know about this as an opportunity. Because for most of my life, I transferred colleges and university. I didn't really like school, but I was eager to learn. But I liked business and marketing for just so many things, and bringing people together. And society multiple times would say to me, people, and not just by one or two, by the dozens or even friends, Vanessa, you're crazy. Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? Why can't you just be normal? Why can't you just sit still? Even though I wasn't affecting anybody around me, right? I got a life coach, which I recommend everybody do at some point in their life, to truly do self-discovery in ways that you could never imagine. And through this process, I was brought upon human design and astrology and learning deeper about myself. And through that blueprints that I created for myself for both aspects of two different charts and two different methodologies, I was like, this is who I am. This is who I've been told to hide and stop being and stop doing.
Yeah.
And through that process, I really gained self-trust and self-love and self-respect. And whenever people would say something to me, I wouldn't take it personal anymore.
That's huge.
Huge. A lot of people will say, oh my gosh, you're always so busy. You're always doing something. And I took it personal because I'm like, is there something wrong? Should I be doing something else? The people-pleasing aspect of things.
Oh, no.
And when I learned about these things, it's like you're actually following your strengths and you're going through that path of where you can lead to new opportunities and doors, and these things excite me, excite me fully. So I was very grateful for learning that, and I wish everybody has those pillars for themselves: self-love, self-trust, and self-respect, because with that, you start that self-discovery journey and you can learn about yourself, and you can also be empathetic to other people going through the process. And, through that, I said one day I'm going to learn these methodologies in gratitude for what they did for me. And I did.
Beautiful, beautiful. So human design has clearly played a huge role in your self-discovery. How can our audience find what human design they are and get guidance from you?
Absolutely. So anybody can go on. You can go and find your human design chart. You can just Google it, and they're free. There's so many different websites. You need your birthday and your location of birth. And there it's going to populate. There's apps on their phones as well. It's like a new concept that are being spoken about, and people are being really receptive to learning, because you can incorporate this in your marketing, you can incorporate this in your personal brand, you can incorporate this in your time management, and all of the things. And these are just some of the things that I work with clients should they desire to learn more about themselves, which they benefit.
how our listeners can work with you directly to find out what is their human design.
Yeah, absolutely. So I work with clients particularly directly through my website is where people can find me, which is vanessafarino.com. And there's many of different options for them to have that conversation with me, whether they're newbies and just trying to learn, or they're someone who is accustomed to that and, understands the methodology and wants to go a little bit deeper. So yeah.
What is your human design?
I'm a manifesting generator.
Fun fact about this topic is that I've been working with Vanessa previously, and she's done the human design for me. I am an emotional manifester, and this has changed the trajectory. This word, trajectory.
Yeah.
Did I say it right?
You did.
Trajectory.
Yeah.
Of
Perfect.
my business, of the way I look at life, of how I observe myself now. So I am the real testimonial that what she's preaching works. And if you're interested into knowing this, please reach out to her because she can really guide you well.
Thank you.
How do you define success?
Success to me is really someone who can go to sleep at night and wake up the next morning with total gratitude. Because while we can totally have all of the financials in the bank, while we can have all of the wonderful, materialistic things, we want to make sure that we're not getting lost through that, right?
Yes.
So with gratitude, you can help other people. With gratitude, you can give back. And with gratitude, you can always move forward.
Attitude of gratitude.
Yes, I love that. I'm going to
Absolutely.
start saying it.
Yes.
Gratitude and gratitude.
So, Vanessa, you are the founder of Creative CEO.
Yes.
And you also run a consulting practice.
Yes.
Please tell us about both and how they connect.
Yeah. So Creative CEO started, oh my gosh, it's going to be almost 4 years now. It's so exciting. The foundation of Creative CEO was that in 2021, I saw that between 2020 and 2021, I saw this headline that nearly 2 million women were leaving the workplace. And I thought to myself, why is this just a headline? Why isn't anybody panicking? Why aren't we marching through the streets? What is happening right now? And it was practically in so many different outlets.
Because of
Uh,
COVID?
because of the pandemic, there were layoffs, there wasn't support at home for women, caregiver situations, the economy, et cetera, et cetera. But I thought, why are we not finding solutions? Because women are the number one driver to the economy. So if the women are leaving the jobs, how are they supporting themselves, but also how are they continuing to contribute to the economy? Which then led me to panic, like I could change the world. And I thought, well, years to come, they're going to dive into our rights if we don't have the purchasing power within the economy.
Wow, you thought of it deeply.
I thought about it extremely deeply, and I thought, okay, so great. How do we provide a solution? Where are they going? And I thought, okay, entrepreneurship, consulting, freelancing, great. And I thought, let me dive into market research and really understand how this concept happens. And we dove into it. And I thought to myself also, I don't want to just read the statistics, which were that at that point, there were over $13 trillion that women in business contributed to the economy.
Wow, huge shout out to us.
And also, there were bringing in over 9 million jobs between contractor roles, part-time, full-time, which we were, right, creating opportunities. But the most devastating statistic is that I saw that less than 18% of them ever made six figures. And I wasn't looking at it from a perspective of vanity metrics. I was looking at it a perspective of inflation, providing for families, depending on, where they're located. Like, how are they actually making that successful? Because that is before payroll, that is before expenses, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And if we have all of this resources to us and we are the number one, driver to the economy, the math was not mathing.
The math
I'm like,
mathing.
this is really bizarre. So I said to myself, I'm out to solve this problem. And here we are. We've now morphed into a media and events company. And we host events and retreats in our annual conference. And we are constantly supporting women to become businesswomen, to build brands beyond 9 to 5. So it doesn't really matter if you have a corporate career or you're a student, you're an entrepreneur, you want a little bit of everything. My life quote is, when women control their finances, they can control their future.
Yes.
And by doing that, becoming a businesswoman, you can take those skill set with you forever. And no one's really teaching that. But we're here to change that.
You are here to change that.
And through my consulting services, I'm super passionate about marketing. It's just something I can spend night and days. I won't eat. I'm like, oh, I learned this new platform, and I created so many websites for clients and whatnot. And it really drives me to see women, help them through the phase of being seen, heard, and understood, to then build a personal brand. Right? There's that healing conversation of how they're going through conversations of money and wealth journey, or learning about their human design as well, to then build those pillars for their businesses as well. And then really bringing to fruition, like, let's focus on social media. Let's practice being in front of the camera. Mm-hmm. Let's build your website. Let's learn these marketing tools so that they can be self-made.
So good. I'm very proud of you, and I'm happy you are doing this, because a lot of women out there need you. So you are here for them. So you do so much. The people who told you that were not kidding. You do so much. So give us a little behind the scenes of how your day looks like doing all of these things.
All right. So I think the biggest tip I can give anybody is to make sure, and this will sound crazy, but you'll thank me later. I'm going to teach the magic 112 method. Okay. Which is, right? Martina knows this one. Yes. We have 24 hours in a day times 7 days in a week. Mm-hmm. So you total those hours. Mm-hmm. And if you entertain Martina and I that you're sleeping 8 hours a day, you times that by 7. Mm-hmm. You minus those two numbers, and you're left with 112 waking hours. Yes. Me, you, Martina, who else do we like celebrity-wise? I can't think of anybody, but anybody, right? Who's your favorite celebrity?
I love Sarah Blakely, the founder of Spanx.
Yes,
I like her.
She's incredible. So me, you, and Sarah Blakely all have our magic 112 waking hours. So it is your duty and responsibility to make sure that every minute is accounted for. Yes. Whether you're reading, you're staring at the wall, you're cold plunging, you're going for a walk, or you're being super, super productive. So with that being said, my calendar, every single minute of the day is accounted for. So hold me accountable, and I am able to make decisions and also look at my chart from like cycle syncing for the business. That's also really important. And that's how I really get really productive days. And not every day is productive, but there's that, ebb and flow that I'm really particular about. Mind you, I learned a lot of these productivity techniques that then I made my own. Mm-hmm. Like all the things that I'm sharing, these are my frameworks.
Yes.
Because I work with CEOs for 15 years, and they're very strict on their schedules, the times that they're waking up, the meals that they're eating. And I thought we should also be incorporating that, even though nobody really speaks about it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I can totally tell that you are extremely organized when it comes to your routine, your work day, all the tasks you have, everything in your calendar is color coordinated.
I also have emojis, because those are very
yes.
They help me be in the mood and make it fun.
However, I have to say that this structure does not work for everybody.
That is correct, 100%.
It's like some people are much more detail oriented, much more organized. Some get all things done without having any.
That's right. And some people also are like more paper.
Yes.
Paper and planner. And just some people just go with the notes on their phone. It's whatever works for you.
And that you can find out if you know what is your human design.
Yes.
Absolutely. So besides the creative CEO and the consulting practice, you also do the retreats and conferences.
Yes.
So where can people find it? When is the next one? What are you focused on? Tell us. Spill the tea on all of that.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so we have our annual conference, our 6th annual conference, the Power of Women Summit, that's happening in Boston in a couple of weeks. So I'm really excited about that. And we have over 200 women who come together. We have workshops, panel speakers, women-owned marketplace. We've done that in New York, and I'm looking to bring this to Miami. So I'm really excited to be able to do that, as we've built a community here as well. That's how I met you.
Yes.
We also have our Creativa retreat, which is solely focused on human design and astrology and really diving deeper for self-discovery. And we also have our Out of Office podcast, which is a twist on our Out of Office events. So I host co-working sessions all over the country, and they're free.
Yes.
So I'm really excited to do those things.
Yeah. So Vanessa's retreats are truly amazing. I went to one that she hosted 2 years ago, 3 years ago.
2 years ago.
2 years ago in Puerto Rico. And it was fabulous, very professional, very nicely done. I had a great time. I've learned a lot. I met a lot of incredible women. And I met one of the best, closest friend of mine with on your
community
in your co-working event that you hosted in Miami. So
I'll never forget that day.
Me neither. It was a perfect day to meet you and to meet her, and that day changed.
And she was your first guest on the podcast, right?
She was interviewing me.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
she's gonna be the guest eventually when the time is right. But because of you, I met her, and she is my best friend.
Yeah.
So
Full
you
circle.
Definitely, it's a full circle, and you're definitely gonna meet some interesting people in Vanessa's community.
Yeah.
So I highly recommend you to dive into it.
Join us.
So what is next for you as a CEO?
Yeah. So I've never taken the time, like I take all the time to work with my clients one-on-one, to dive into personal branding. So I'm really excited to be doing that, learn more about the creator economy in Boston. Like I said, we don't have those opportunities. So being able to talk about those experiences, how we can create opportunity in Boston. And ultimately, I'm very fascinated with AI. I've been using it for so many years as well. And to continue to see the journey of where just life takes us. Like, what do I get myself involved in? Because anybody will bring me an opportunity. I'm like, let's do it.
Let's go.
Let's go.
So when is your next event in Miami?
We're hoping very soon.
We need it. Yes.
Thank you.
So you are a Latina woman, and you clearly take a huge pride on that. So please tell us, what is your drive behind that?
My why is that I truly know how each and every one of them are hiding behind the scenes, and they are part of our history, they're part of our economy, they're part of really needing to have a voice, being seen, heard, and understood. And my why really goes to standing up for them and teaching that they deserve, that they matter, and most importantly, that they have to believe in themselves so that other generations can continue. And everybody ultimately wins in that matter. It is just my deepest desire for women of color to see the value that they have and see how we need to push forward with our rights.
Beautiful. From your coaching career and doing impact on all these women's lives, what is one case study or one testimonial from your expertise where you change someone's life?
Yeah. I think there's a recurring testimonial that I receive from women, and there's this cycle that women will say, for the first time I saw myself, for the first time I understood my strengths, for the first time I was able to physically take all the things that were in my head, in my mind, my vision, and not only be an informed business owner, but also feel accomplished. And I hold that with so much gratitude. And it just so happens to be women who are in corporate. And I think that being someone who comes from the corporate world, an understanding of not being seen, pass for promotions, not getting the raises, and there's so much more in the corporate world and the politics that a woman of color particularly might encounter. I've lived through that myself. So I totally understand where they're coming from and can help advocate for themselves.
Amazing. What is your biggest dream now when it comes to helping others? What is your mission?
So my mission changes every year, which I think is really fun for me,
Yes.
for my human experience. My current mission right now is for every single woman to Google themselves.
That's huge! Oh my goodness,
Yes.
I'm gonna do that after.
And then you see what comes up, right?
Yes,
And
yes.
there might be a moment of, oh, but there's not me fully, my brilliance, my talent, my genius that is fully represented in a digital space. So my mission this year, at least, that I'm just super passionate about, and that's translating with working with clients one-on-one or at the summits or at our events, is really understanding that your personal brand is your new resume. So whenever you Google yourself, what do you desire to show up? Because you can make that happen. It is just implementing technology, implementing systems in place for that to be the scenario. Because when you Google someone and you are looking for an opportunity for someone, you want to make sure that they have a professional headshot, right?
Yes.
If you're looking, for example, to feature someone in Forbes or for a media or have them on a podcast or a radio or whatever that might be, like, you want to make sure that you're able to see that that person takes their personal brand or their business seriously so that they can take that to the commercial world and talk about sharing their genius or whatever that might be. So anybody who wants to Google themselves and really wants to see the actual brilliance of who they are in the physical, in the digital world, so exciting.
I got boobs when I'm just thinking about it.
Hello? Who's this?
This is your bright future calling you. What can I do for you today?
Bright future. I desire to grow the largest media and events company for women of color so that they can control their finances and their future, and to really focus on my personal brand to then hire a PR company to help me impact thousands and thousands of women all over the world. And I also want a corporate apartment in Miami.
Vanessa, your wish is my command.
Okay, Vanna. Now we have some bonus questions which are only one word answers, please.
Okay.
All right. Let's do it. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
What's the first thing you think of when someone says America?
Oh my gosh. Hot dogs? It's I know it's like 2 words, but
Hot
sorry.
dogs?
Hot dogs came
That's
to mind.
so funny. But it is super American,
Yes,
honestly.
yeah.
And I love hot dogs. I haven't
Yeah.
had one in a long time, but that was my school food in Slovakia.
Really?
Oh yeah, I loved
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, yummy.
Yummy. What is the weirdest food you've tried here?
Oh my gosh. Shepherd's pie? I think I got that right.
Is that
Or
a thing?
pot pie, shepherd's pot pie.
What is that? Doesn't sound delicious.
It's this pie that has sort of a chicken stew inside of it. It's a Irish descent, I believe, and really heavily in New England. Luckily, you're in Miami. You're safe. You're totally fine. You're fine. You're safe.
Which American celebrity would you be for a day?
You know, I thought about this when you're asking me this, and I don't really know. I think maybe one of the Spice Girls. I just love. But I
Which
know
one?
they're not American.
They are British, I think.
Yeah, but I think I always resembled with like Victoria.
Because she's posh and
so posh
go-getter
and
and
just-
she
yeah, I
gets
love
shit
her.
done.
Yeah.
And she also married the hottest guy on earth, probably. All right, Vanna. I could keep talking to you forever, but sadly we have to wrap up the episode. Thank
Okay.
you again for being part of this. This is the last episode, and I'm just so happy that we are closing the season with you.
Thank you so much. It's been an absolute honor. I
Aw.
couldn't have done this with anybody else. Super special.
Thank you. I hope the listeners enjoyed it. I hope they can relate to it, and I hope to see you in a season 2.
Thank you so much for flying with Unstoppable Immigrant Airways. We hope this podcast brought you joy, motivation, inspiration, and connection. Feel free to share this episode with someone who really needs to hear it. And until next time, stay unstoppable.